who's the best team in the Big 12? We've got to get to Mike Gundy. Because
you already know
the bootlickers in the Pokes media stable,
dude.
How I see what ask good questions, please. Anybody?
Steve Shaw's the head of the officiating.
I got that wrong. That was the other Mike Vaughn.
Yeah. When I looked back on it on Sunday, from the sideline, it looked like some of their receivers were just running wide open. But when you go back and look on tape, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't. How did his boots taste, sir?
Bruh.
It looked like they were running wide open because they were.
What do you mean it looks like they're open?
So I just want you to understand that's where this interview started, or this press conference question started.
When I looked back on it on Sunday, from the sideline, it looked like some of their receivers were just running wide open. But when you go back and look on tape, it wasn't that bad. They guys were in the vicinity, and they made good plays. They had pretty good guys at receiver.
Well, you're a homer is the first part, because they were running wide open. You're wanting to make it look better, and honestly, they were running wide open. Now,
I asked for it.
well, it's all right. We're honest here. I mean, there's no reason anybody should come to these press conferences if we're going to bullshit each other. So the point being is that they were running wide open, and the good news is this, Robert, is it's fixable. You're a homer is the first part.
Bro, like
when the head coach calls out the softball question, they were running wide open. And I think, and we've talked a lot about Alan Bowman and Ollie Gordon and the wide receivers, and
because it's garbage.
I think the biggest problem for Oak State and why they're not number one in the power rankings right now in the Big 12 is because their defense has really struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand on business when I tell you my firm belief is that Arkansas gave them that game. And when you have expectations, and Oak State fans or any Big 12 fan, I think you would agree, the expectations were that Oklahoma State was going to compete for the conference championship this year. We have not seen a conference championship caliber football team.
Mm-hmm.
Not in Stillwater. And I'm a little surprised that is the single biggest issue that I have, is that we're week 3 now, and we have not seen very good football from Oak State at any point during this season.
Well, and everyone in our, not just during the show, but like as like yesterday, as the day went on, everyone was like, "Oh, well, you guys just hate Oklahoma State. You guys should stop crying. Like, you guys just don't like Gundy." Yeah, I don't respect Mike Gundy. I don't think he's done a good enough job. It's questions like this, and I appreciate that Mike, kind of called this reporter out a little bit and had some fun with him. I appreciate that, because he is a homer. The reporter is a homer and is someone that's going to ask you softball questions. So I appreciate Mike doing that, but the reality is you're not going to get away from the fact that you needed overtime to beat Arkansas, that you played a game with Arkansas that was in question until like the very last second.
Right.
And that's what I think Oklahoma State fan doesn't necessarily want to talk about. And I get that. And I respect the fact that you're, what are you, 2-0 right now, and you're technically still in it. But
yeah.
But if you think that in 2 weeks, not this week, but next week, you're going to, welcome Utah into Stillwater, and you're going to be able to do the same thing against Utah you did against Arkansas, you're up in the night, because you'll lose by 20 plus if you do.
Well, and then there is Cam Rising in the Utes, doubtful for the Utah State game, which means Isaac Wilson gets to start at Utah. Should the Utah Utes be worried about this? And I don't see how you're not. I obviously, a team like Utah State that's not very good, Isaac Wilson, the backup, should be able to slide in there. Even as a true freshman, he should be able to slide in there and carry this offense enough to let the defense win this game. I don't know that you loved a whole lot of what you saw of Isaac Wilson against Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little concerning. And Cam, these fingers, apparently on his throwing hand, it's his middle 2 fingers. There is not a serious injury. Kyle Whittingham pretty much said there's not a serious injury related to that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would play him, and I guess you would not, unless he is 80-90% with that finger. And Isaac Wilson, I mean, this is a kid that, for those of you who don't know, he played at one of the best football programs in the country, a high school called Corner Canyon. They just beat, IMG Academy about 2 weeks ago. It is a highfalutin powerhouse athletic high school, and he was the best player on the best football team. He didn't look the part against Baylor. I'll be honest with you. I think he absolutely should be worried there.
Mm-hmm.
If you are said all of that, is the best in the Big 12. I don't think there's any doubt it's Utah.
Yeah, well, I think that's the luxury that Utah has. So, like, I would agree they're the best team in the Big 12, but I think this Utah State situation, you don't need. So, first of all, if you're not familiar with Utah State as far as their position in the state of Utah in the football scene, Utah State's the little brother that wants to be a pain in your ass when you play them, and
they're scandal ridden.
And yeah, they're
not
lost your coaching
right
staff.
Now.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot this particular year going on with their program. So
the dumpster's on fire up in Logan.
100%. And for me, I like worried. I feel like is strong with Cam. I think you're not playing him in this game because you don't have to play him in this game to win this particular game. Now, if he was healthy, would he be playing? Yes, certainly. But again, if you can skate by on a true freshman and probably one of the best defenses in the country, why wouldn't you do that? I have no doubt, dude. Cam Rising, if dude can walk and throw a football, he's going to play against Oklahoma State. Like this is because this is the final ride. There is no next year. There is no, there is no free passes. We don't get to redemption year next year. That's not how it works. So I have no doubt he will play.
Who's the second best team in the Big 12? I think that is the big question here. In my opinion, it's not Oklahoma State. I think the candidates, Arizona, there's been too much up and down there.
Mm-hmm.
TCU, I thought that game at Stanford was wildly underappreciated, undervalued. I thought that was a good win for them. But was there a better win this past week than Iowa State going to Iowa and winning the Cyhawk and finally in the second half they figured out they have a quarterback and back to can throw the football, which was frustrating watching the first half of that game. I think I can make a pretty compelling argument that Iowa State is the second best team in this league right now. And again, nobody's winning a national championship today. I think we're very young in the season and we're not getting real good looks. But if there was a better win than Iowa State in this conference last week, I don't know who it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Iowa State was an underdog going to Iowa City, and I think they got their job done. And it's because I felt like they opened up the offense enough to let Beck throw the ball around, which I think you have to do. Take note, Aaron Roderick at BYU. I think that is a really good win, and I think that's why Iowa State's the second best team in the conference today.
Yeah, I those are all great points. I think the problem for the Big 12 is that there isn't a clear-cut number two. I
agree with. Yeah,
I think that Iowa State right now is a great candidate for it based on what you did. I think a lot of people who don't maybe cover football week in and week out be like, oh, well, Arizona State. But the problem with Arizona State is who you were playing and how that game went down. And I don't think you have the quality to keep up at the top of the conference. So, logically and reasonably,
believing that Arizona State is the second best team in this conference is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it. And so then, you start looking around the conference and you're like, okay, well, K-State's obviously got to be brought up. And
but the problem is and I know that this pisses everybody off, but what have we seen from Avery Johnson so far?
Yeah, I mean, not what you wanted to see. And
we've seen the results of a very young, untested, unproven quarterback.
And everyone wants to say, oh, well, we're in a good spot. Like, we won the game. Like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, that might be true, but it matters how you win the game at this time of year. We've said this repeatedly for the last 2 weeks that it's not just that you won the game.
No.
It's it's throwing for, around 200 yards, averaging 6 yards an attempt or 7 yards an attempt. Like, you were not anything special, or you didn't stand out in that game. And so that's why I say, like, I really do believe right now the conference is Utah and everybody else. I think that everybody else portion of the conversation has to define itself. It should be Oklahoma State, but unfortunately, I can't say that when you struggled to beat Arkansas. You just can't say that.
Yeah, and I think there's a very interesting race for fourth, because I think Oklahoma State's third. I think I would put Utah, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and I think you've got to probably go K-State fourth. I think that's where I would go. And then the fifth one, I think, is an absolute toss-up. That could absolutely be UCF, who I don't think gets enough respect. Now, they haven't played anybody, but their stats are gaudy. I think TCU. I think I probably would lean TCU at 5 because of that win at Stanford. I think that's a good win for a team that nobody knew, in a quarterback with Hoover that nobody knew what to expect. I think TCU deserves a lot of credit for playing well. And then I think at 6 or 7, I think you got to put BYU there. I think you got to put Arizona there. Arizona's kind of been an enigma right here at this moment. I don't know what that offense was this past week. It's a little concerning, but I think you could put them in the middle. And I think BYU surviving at SMU, I think they deserve a huge tip of the cap because they survived and moved on. And I think that's all you're trying to do in this tournament. That's all you're trying to do, is you are trying to survive these early weeks to get to conference play undefeated. That is Utah's job this week. I mean, obviously, Utah and Oak State are heading for this collision in 2 weeks. Your job is to win the game this week and have Cam Rising as close to 100% as you can have him.
Well, and again, that's one of those games, too, where I'd even go as far as to point out that, the conference can't have Utah lose that game. I mean, with how these two programs have looked so far, like, you can't have a situation where Utah loses a game they probably shouldn't lose, honestly.
Yeah.
And then the conference is stuck with just the conference champion and nobody else getting into the playoff. And I'm telling you, that's what's at stake in this Oklahoma State, Utah matchup is getting multiple teams in to the college football playoff. Because if Utah loses that game, man, that's not good. That basically means that they have to win the conference. And at that point, I still don't know that Oklahoma State's a college football playoff team.
All right, before we get to your comments, now we get to go to the fun part of the power rankings. Who's the worst team in the conference? Man, how is it not Texas Tech? A humiliating loss. And if you are not calling for Joey Maguire's lid right now, I don't know what you're looking at in Lubbock. I think Texas Tech has to be there. Kansas certainly has to be there. What a massive disappointment Jeff Grimes has been at Kansas. I don't know how you...
Yeah.
I don't know how you explain what, like with Jalen Daniels. I mean, a terrible loss at Illinois. How do you explain that loss? Illinois is solid. They shouldn't be better than a preseason team that had dreams of winning this conference in Kansas, which now we know are complete fabrications.
Right.
And I'm the guilty party. I bought in hook, line, and sinker. And now you're going to have to call. I think it's either Texas Tech or Kansas, because I don't know how you explain it.
So I think the reason it's not Colorado is because Colorado is an upstart program still. They're still in the beginning of their process. They are clearly improving. And if Colorado and Texas Tech matched up, I'm not confident Texas Tech could win that ball game. Can't confidently say that. I think that would be incredibly entertaining game. And I think that would be very close. But yeah, I mean, right now it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think you have to have Tech as the worst team in the conference just because of what we saw.
I think it's Texas Tech's the worst. K-State would be 15th. Cincinnati, that was a hugely disappointing loss. What a collapse. I would have Cincinnati 14th. Something like that. I think Texas Tech's the worst team in the conference.
Yeah. So Tech is the worst, then Kansas, then Cincinnati.
I think Houston is better than Colorado. And I mean, I can't. Are you telling me that Kansas isn't better than Houston and Colorado? Maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're not. I think Baylor has shown more fight.
Dude, I think we have to be careful to, like, with our reaction to these losses. Like, Illinois is not, certainly they should have beat Illinois, but Illinois is also not like just a cupcake place to go and play.
Kansas looked terrible.
I know.
Kansas looked.
But if I said to you, who do you have more confidence in bouncing back, Kansas or Tech? I'm going to say Kansas.
Kansas.
Who do you have more confidence in? Going out and finding another win ASAP. It's not Texas Tech. I'm not confident. The only thing I'm confident in with Texas Tech is Bear Morton's ability to throw for 300
the
yards.
only thing I'm confident in is they're going to drop 8 and lose games.
Yeah.
Joey McGuire is an abject failure at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you fix that. There's no way to unwind that. There just isn't. Steve Stepanek, Colorado, I don't think is good. Well, and this Shedeur Sanders or Shiloh Sanders broken arm
doesn't help.
Brutal. Mike Smith, did they ever give a reason why she was fired?
No. You're talking about homegirl West Virginia, or I'm sorry.
Oh,
Pitt.
like
at
Pitt? No, she was fired for cause. So she did something, or there was something. James, it's good that Cam's backup will get some snaps and get him some experience. Well,
if you win the game, it's good.
Yeah.
Which you should.
Yeah, and I agree, Derek. It's a trap game, no doubt. UW fan Jim, is Sam Heward healthy? He is, but he's third. I mean, Isaac Wilson should be a
dude. If he doesn't ball out
big performer,
I would be surprised.
He is really talented. Really talented. Sam Heward isn't the future. Isaac will get the snaps. He's the future. Totally agree. Absolutely. Scott C. West Virginia. This week, Utah, Iowa State, Arizona State, Oak State, K-State, AZ. How good is Arizona? Were you guys surprised about their lack of offense? I was a little surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
TCU, BYU. Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. Oak State, James, my rankings right now. Utah, K-State, Oak State, Iowa State, UCF.
Now, how much of the Upper Deck projects influence your rankings?
Well, yeah, I mean, at UCF, are you consulting them on new S&M seating, or
what about the quality of the rollers at their stadiums? I mean, obviously that's going to play a big part in your power rankings.
I am so excited to not see an Upper Deck when I'm golfing at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday. I'm really stoked for that. I'm actually really excited to play golf inside Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Yeah,
Saturday.
that'll be cool.
I'm really excited for that. Really excited for that. Weird that they just found any issue. Background checks should have caught that before she was hired. Really have no info on it. Just seems odd, the timing. Well, I don't know that we'll ever know.
It's not dude. It's not background check related, bro.
No.
You did something to get your ass run out of
there. Something's amiss, and I don't know that we'll know. And maybe, if there's something in her background, maybe that's why she was up for multiple other jobs, and she didn't get those jobs. Who knows? James, K-State went on the road and beat Tulane in New Orleans. That's not easy, right? But you have the world's greatest quarterback.
Hold on. But I thought that the SC loss, James, was some travesty. That was a terrible loss.
Boy, you're never going to let that go.
No, hell no, I'm not letting it go. I'm holding K-State fans and supporters' feet to the fire on it, because you want to say that, we went in and we won the ball game. But then it doesn't work that way, dude. You don't get a free pass. Like, you didn't look good against them.
Yeah. Ron Nolan, the worst comment by a coach ever. I think our defense has done a pretty good job. Prime said this at halftime. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I don't. What do you mean that's the worst comment ever, dude?
I think, especially in the second half, their adjustments were really good. The offense could not get a first down. The offense continued to put the defense on the field without Shiloh, who is the quarterback of their defense. I thought their defense played really well.
Yeah, I mean they didn't hold them to 10 points or something, but they kept you in the game if you could do anything on offense.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing is they have pretty solid linebacker play, and their D line is better, but still not good, and they're still able to hold. Because I thought Dylan Raiola was really good out of the gate, and I thought in the second half Colorado's defense was much better. James, who is a stadium guy and loves the Big 12. Gundy is doing what he always does. He tries to play vanilla offense because he wants to save offense. No.
You're a homer is the first part.
Not at all. That was not vanilla offense. You did not have the ability to move the Arkansas defensive line. You're not playing vanilla offense to hide what you're capable of when you're getting trounced by Arkansas. And your offensive line could not move their defensive tackles. And the way they filled the B gap, absolutely. The way they kept an edge, Arkansas's D-line did a great job of keeping an edge, which didn't allow Ollie to get outside. Notice on the 2-point conversion, how did they get it to Ollie Gordon? They threw it to him. That they were not being vanilla. They were not a chance. Part of the standard vanilla offense are to use your best players in the run game, not giving away secret sauce there. You might want to give the ball to Ollie Gordon.
Hold on, bro. Like,
Big Blue Horses. If Grandpa Rising isn't 100, the Utes should be very worried because the game looks bigger than the freshmen who didn't have a spark of grasping the game last week. I don't disagree with that.
Also,
at all.
his first game, though, like, I agree. He was underwhelming. He was not. He didn't live up to the hype. That doesn't mean he won't find his footing against Utah State. Like, I think that this is what we love to do. This is the same nonsense with Tom Brady. Oh man, you're garbage, Isaac Wilson. You're terrible. You're Garbo. Like, go play for someone else. You're terrible. We don't need you. And it's like, dude, he's played one game. Like, give the guy a second to get comfortable at game speed, and then let's pass judgment on him after he's got a couple hundred snaps under his belt. And then let's see, what are the yards per attempt? What's the completion percentage? How many points are they putting up? Like, I just don't think we should be passing this harsh a judgment. Was he underwhelming? Yes. But that doesn't mean I don't believe the kid can come back and pop off against Utah State. Like, I would not be surprised if Utah dropped 30 with Isaac Wilson on Utah State. That wouldn't be surprising at all.
I would agree. Steve Sapanik, do you think the quarterback will stay at Tulane or enter the portal to be a better conference at school? I think Darian Mensah is a hell of a quarterback. And it's your quarterback is always in danger. I mean, I think Will Howard ending up at Ohio State proves that point. But Mensah had a great game with 300-something yards. I mean, he's a really good quarterback. I think he's a freshman. So, I mean, he's going to be able to write his ticket, I would think. But let's see what he does the rest of the year. Worst team, Derek says, is Colorado. I don't think Colorado. I think Colorado is better than Texas Tech. There's, in my opinion, Baylor's the worst team. I don't know about that. With Notre Dame out of the playoff, the SEC 4 teams, Big 10 4, Big 12 2, ACC 1.
Okay, but who are the two from the Big 12?
Who are the big two from the? Yeah, who are the two from the Big 12? I think it's going to be very difficult for the ACC to get 2 teams in.
Yeah, I think what we should be saying is, does the SEC get 5 in?
Yeah, because I don't think there's any doubt that the SEC is the best football conference in the country. You don't have to like it, but these projections are not wrong. I mean, you're looking at Bama, Ole Miss, who nobody's talking about, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Missouri. Like, you're looking at, can you guys count? Are you Marcus Freeman or can you count? You're looking at 6 SEC teams there.
Or half.
That's a lot of SEC teams. And you're looking at the Big Ten getting, SC and Pedo State, Ohio State in. I mean, you're out of your mind.
I think it's much more like 5 or 6 for the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 1 from the Big 12.
1 from the Big 12.
And then the G5.
I think you're 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC, And I think you look at the top 10 is 6 SEC teams.
Yeah, man. As it should be. They're earning that.
Yeah, but I don't. My opinion is Oregon is not one of the top 10 teams in the country.
Yeah.
That I struggle with. But I don't know that there's. If Oregon and USC played today on a neutral site, if they played at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, I'm probably leaning towards SC.
Probably.
Which is shocking at this point. So I don't see how the Big 12 or the ACC gets 2 in. I think that'd be very difficult. The SEC will get into Ohio State, and a G5 team will be the other 2. Oops, Big 10, he means. Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Eric and Raleigh, does the SEC get 8? I think there's a chance. How good is Missouri? How good are they? I think they're very good. How good is LSU? Can LSU hang around? I don't know. Do you get 2 G5s in? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No, there's too much talent at the P4 level.
I just think it's very clear.
I just think the SEC is so deep. I mean, you can legitimately make the argument that, hey, like our mid-level, our Missouri is better than anything in the ACC outside of Miami, and is better than, K-State, Oklahoma State, would contend with Utah on the same foot. Like it's just not that hard to see. Like,
I agree.
Hey, 6+ for the SEC, 3 for the Big 10, 1 out of the Big 12 in the ACC, and then your G5.
But again, and I don't mean to keep going back to the Gundy drum, but isn't this why Mike Gundy is such a disappointment at Oak State? And I understand the offense is sputtered, and Alan Bowman's not a top quarterback, but that's not their biggest issue against Arkansas. Jaquindon Jackson ate you for lunch running the football. Oh, you 3 touchdowns, I think. I mean, your defense is arguably a bigger problem through the first couple of weeks than your offense is. You heard Gundy say it. Their wide receivers are you do a good job of pushing the wide receiver to the boundary on the sideline, and then you just allow them to run inward.
Yeah.
And there's no safety there. Who are you, Joey McGuire? Dropping 8 when you're getting run all over. The state of Texas is such a big disappointment in the Big 12 right now. And I continue to say Texas Tech, 8 ball down at Baylor. Huge disappointments. TCU needs to be good.
I will say one positive on 8 ball is that his boys are playing hard for him. Like
I would agree.
Did play hard.
They are
against
competing.
Utah.
They are competing in a very difficult spot. Caleb Aylmore. James, it's okay to say Casey Dunn sucks, the offensive coordinator at Oak State. I honestly think he has something on Gundy. Why else would he still be there after so many seasons of disappointment?
Dude.
And again, the offense isn't. The problem with Oak State's offense is unimaginative.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's so unimaginative, just turn around and hand the ball to Ollie Gordon.
But again, what did you just say 10 minutes ago? You couldn't move Arkansas's defensive line.
It's wild to me. Wild to me. James, no one is getting 5 or 6 teams in the playoff. Okay. 4 SEC, 4 Big 10, 2 Big 12. You can't make an argument that 2 of the Big 12 teams get into the playoff.
Who's the second Big 12 team?
2 Big 12 are Utah and the winner of K-State, Oak State, Week 5. Week 5 is meaningless. And James, I love you, but this is your Preston Stone argument.
Stay hard.
Oh my God, Preston Stone, bro. He got benched. And what I'm trying to tell you is Week 5 matchups don't determine who goes to the college football playoff.
It determines who may not if you are Notre Daming a game.
What I'm trying to tell you is that if we have not learned anything, then we're going to make the same mistakes trying to predict this. What I continue to tell you is Utah and Oak State has far more impact on this, with the loser probably not getting in. But you can't tell me from what you've seen that Oak State's anything less than 3 losses, because I don't think there's any way almost no matter what happens this weekend, unless there's a major injury, that you can favor Oak State hosting Utah in 2 weeks. Because Oak State's defense can't hold a candle to Utah's defense. And Cam Rising is a superior quarterback with better wide receivers and a better tight end than you have at Oak State. And the only thing you have is Ollie Gordon, but your offensive line has been bad. Even when they try like zone principles on the offensive line, they still can't even zone run.
Mm-hmm.
So we can sit here and we can argue about 3 seconds on the clock. The issue is whoever loses that Oak State-Utah game likely has a very difficult path back to the Big 12 championship and the college football playoff. Because I am still of the opinion that no matter who you are, you're going to lose games you shouldn't lose. And I don't see any way that Oak State loses less than 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any way that BYU wins more than 6-7 games. I don't see how Kansas is at all in consideration for a conference championship appearance.
Let alone the CFP.
I think the thing that you're hanging your hopes on in Manhattan with K-State is that Avery Johnson's going to get better with every snap he takes. Because right now we are seeing far too much of a guy that looks inexperienced and not ready to be a number one. But we see these flashes. And that's what you have to hang your hat on. Because I don't think Arizona State, Colorado, I think there's 2 or 3 teams capable of winning this conference, and Oak State's not one of them. Not with what we've seen so far. And if you think I'm off on that, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We're an hour and a half in, and we have not talked about the Jets game and how it makes Aaron feel lonely. I know. We just don't.
What a terrible show, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Awful. Only the Iowa OC is worse than Zach Kitley, bro.
See, this is why college football is so awesome.
Casey Dunn or Zach Kitley. Because if I look at the stats in the Big 12, yeah, I don't understand. Zach Kitley's not the problem. Hey, Barron, throw the ball further because we're dropping 8 next time the defense goes out. We're gonna need 6 here.
Big time zone concepts on the D line this week. All right,
and Big Lubbock. I would love to hear this. You're really talking about your offense. You're really talking about. I don't.
Didn't they put up 53?
And Baron Morton is arguably a top 5 quarterback in the conference, and you're ripping Zach Kitley.
Yeah, wasn't it like 53 points on like 350, 360 for Baron Morton?
Because I am unsure of what you are referencing. Because if Baron Morton was my quarterback at Notre Dame, we would be winning a national championship this year.
100%. Yeah. I don't think that's exaggerating. I think that's true.
That's true. No, it's not exaggerating.
That's true.
You're goddamn right it's true. And I continue to try and tell people, Texas Tech fan, I understand you're decimated and you're damaged.
It's my quarterback.
As you should be. You're lucky not to be 0-2.
It's really unfair.
But if you're complaining about Baron Morton being 64 of 100, he's thrown the ball 100 times. For 700 yards, 64. He's thrown the ball 100 times. He's completed 64% of his passes.
Hey, pull up Oklahoma State.
6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, only 2 sacks. And he's rated 138.7, and you're complaining. And they didn't have Taj Brooks last week. And you're complaining about the offense? And you wonder why I want to talk about Tyreek Hill.
I don't give a Bears fuck.
You gave up 37 to Washington State because you drop 8 every. Okay, 3rd and 1. We're gonna drop 8.
But first in goal.
From the 1. From the 1. We're gonna first and goal from the 1. All right, drop 8. Drop 8. Drop 8.
Cover the tunnel. The tunnel.
4th and 37 in Laramie last year. All right, full on blitz. Corners, safeties, linebackers, fuck them. Everybody. Excuse my French. Everybody's blitzing. And you're complaining about the offense? What's that defensive scheme called? Drop 8. Elisa Tuiaki, please. Like, are you out of your mind?
Bro.
Well, Monty's triggered because you're complaining about the offense in Lubbock.
Tennessee.
Oh, my God.
This is the problem in Tortilla Land. This is the problem. How are you complaining about the offense, man? Like, damn.
Zach quit on the running game too early because he's got Baron Morton.
You're out of your freaking mind.
My balls hurt. I try so hard.
So did Joey's.
Do you understand that you ran the ball 27 times for 148 yards and you average 5.5 yards per carry?
Yeah,
and do you understand that Washington State scored 20 points in the second quarter? 20 points. You're down 27-10 going into the third quarter. Oh, my bad. You were down 34-10 going into the fourth quarter, and he quit on the run? Bro. Yeah, I don't know anything about football. The run sets up the pass.
Okay, dude.
Midweek Coug, Washington State going to the playoff. I love it. Screw the nickel. We're going hateful 8 deep. Coach, we're on the verge of winning this. It's Joey McGuire, Monty. I don't know what to do on defense. I'm thinking about dropping 8. What's the down and distance? 1st and goal from the 1 inch. Sounds good to me, Coach. Are you sure? Yeah, because I think you should be fired. So keep dropping 8. All right.
Why don't you fuck off?
Thanks, Marty. Come on, man.